Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another exciting episode of Vash Sky ParkCast. My name is Vash Sky. Well, and I am here to take you through these amazing ceremonies because, man, it is ceremonious, I do believe. Wow, it's really, really interesting. WDI just said, hey, here's some news about what's going on in Monstropolis. Not too much information, of course, because I think they're saving a lot of that for their, Disney's D23 Ultimate Fan event in Anaheim this year. But they did let us in on a little bit of what's going on in the old Muppets Courtyard, which kind of sad to see it all torn up and everything like that, but we'll go over that in time. We also have some amazing stuff going on. Well, maybe not too amazing, at least in the Disney Cruise Line. Not good, not fantastic, but amazing stuff actually going on in the UK, where a new theme park just got its name and logo. That's pretty cool right there. They also updated the data sheet, and when we might actually be riding attractions in that theme park, well, we'll have that information and much more. I know there have been a couple of channels that have covered at least a couple of things that we're going to cover right now, but hopefully you can stick with me, and I think I have some pretty unique commentary on all of these things and more. But let's go ahead and get our producer extraordinaire on into the conversation right here, because I'm sure she has seen some things that you all have written out there in the chat, and we want to go ahead and make sure you are heard. MJ, are you there?
I am here. It's going to be a great show. We got a full house already. Everyone welcoming each other in here as always. And we got Juliet, mod extraordinaire, coming in with the 2 British pounds. Evening, Vash Sky ParkCast and Skyliners.
Hello there. Thank you so much, Juliet. Very much appreciate that. That is awesome. The Skyliners are happy to see you right there. And, you know, I see you in the modding for us. Very, very cool. Also have Tom F modding for us as well. Disney Fan 55 modding for us. Thank you so much for coming on in and supporting the stream. Very, very cool. Let's see right here. Oh, John Make It Rain. Just put more slides on the ships. Top deck activities are the only thing missing from Disney cruise ships. I do agree with that, actually, John Make It Rain. The activities on board the cruise ships are a little light, and I think they actually stepped in the right direction with the adventure, interestingly enough. We're going to be talking about the adventure, actually, in time right there, because I think it's also fascinating. MJ alerted me to something I did not actually know about, so we'll break that down. Maybe those extra activities come at a cost.
Absolutely. I got to welcome a newcomer, I think. Please correct me if I'm wrong. If you're not new, hi, it's great to have you. If you're new, welcome. R. Wang? I hope I said that properly. Brooklyn in the house. Well, from Boogie Down Bronx to Brooklyn in the house. So welcome in here, and hold on tight. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Very, very cool. And we also have some returning favorites like John Make It Rain and The Rogue Attraction. Hello there. Freedom Seeker. Everybody out there. Very nice to see you. Man, it's just been really interesting, MJ, going over today's stories and going over what's going on. It's surprising. Some stuff, you know, we've been inundated with so much news that I'm about to actually bring out some stuff that, well, we actually missed some from weeks ago. So hopefully you guys can stay informed, and hopefully those little stories, well, we like to bring those to the forefront right there. MJ, are you ready to go over the first story?
I buckled up and I got a parachute. Go for it.
Well, there you go. You're going to need it on this one. I suppose you might need a raft more than a parachute. But, c'est la vie. Here you go. From Disney Tourist Blog, Disney Cruise Line rolling out 3 new rules on stateroom door decor, alcohol limits, and photo gear. Which I thought was very, very interesting. This is by Tom Brecker right here, May 28th, 2026. Disney Cruise Line is rolling out a trio of new rules that changes the quantity of alcohol guests can bring on board the ships, introduce new restrictions on photography equipment, and limit over-the-top stateroom door decor. Here are the full details there. Let's see, and they're bringing this out on basically their whole fleet, which is what's actually listed there. But I want to go ahead and get into a little bit of this. I'm going to skip the alcohol limit just for a second. I want to go ahead and go down just a little bit more and go to the decor. Because, MJ, the stuff is getting out of hand a little bit right there, right?
Yeah, it is. It's something that everyone looks forward. They actually customize these magnets and decor for the door of their stateroom in preparation for their vacation. It's become like a culture to board your Disney cruise line, get settled in your stateroom, and decorate the door, not just with the magnets, but people are celebrating, anniversaries, birthdays, whatnot, and then to go out of your way and have all these things customized, right? Because let's say it's a party of 3 or 4 and you have everyone's names and etc. And to
Right.
be told now that you're not allowed to do that much, you can't really go all out per se. I mean, these people were going all out, as in freebies and little sprinkling some pixie
Tchotchkes and
dust.
everything like that. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like take something, leave something. It's getting nuts,
Very
fam.
interesting.
But Tom Breaker says this: old rule, was there even a rule? It seemed like complete chaos and free for all was the prevailing spirit behind the stateroom door decor. Joking aside, it was mostly the below, which is a bit less limiting language. New rule: you are welcome to personalize your stateroom door with tasteful magnetic signs for a celebration, or simply to add a touch of fun. To ensure an enjoyable experience for all guests, however, please note the following guidelines for decorating your stateroom door. Please avoid using tape and other adhesives, including gel adhesives, to affix items to your stateroom door, as this can damage the door's finish. I would imagine, MJ, that they had to put that in there specifically because something happened, right?
It when I was reading about it, it got a little out of hand to the point where now the attendants, right? I would call them the room attendants, the people that, get the room ready for the next party that's coming in. If they're having to struggle getting all this stuff down and it's, ripping off paint or wallpaper, whatever the situation may be, then
Yeah.
I can understand why a good thing has to go. So I highlighted this comment from the Rogue Attraction. Never got that door thing. It's a choice. It's not something that you're obligated to do. It's like I said, it's like a culture that people have made.
People have made it, and Tom Breaker has some words as to how it got so out of hand. I do like this one from Ian Cumia. However, keyword is tasteful. That is absolutely the case right there. Using over-the-door hanging organizers is prohibited. And no freebies anymore, as it may cause scratches or other damage to the stateroom doors or trim. Now, I would imagine that maybe people can hang some stuff that's magnetic. I guess we'll see. Items of value should not be used to decorate your stateroom door. Well, there you go. Disney Cruise Line is not responsible for damage to or loss of these items. As a courtesy to other guests, sound or video elements should not be used. How crazy were these things getting?
They were getting crazy. Motion sense, you would walk by and maybe some cool sound effect went off. I mean, people were going all out. Yeah.
Yeah, just, we're walking past and all of a sudden, whoa, what the heck is going on there?
That's cool.
Decorations should only be placed on doors and are not permitted on corridor walls or ceilings. Yeah, no, candelabras or chandeliers there. Guests who damage doors in violation of these guidelines will be assessed a $100 fee per incident to cover the cost of repairs. Ooh. Ouch. Magnets will not adhere to concierge staterooms on the Disney Dream and Disney Fantasy, as these doors are wooden. Interesting to note. In what could be a, quote, know your audience miscalculation, I say fantastic to this change. My impression is that stateroom door decorations have become increasingly excessive in the last few years, which I presume is due to social media. When in doubt, blame social media for all things you don't like. Interesting. There's a sense of one-upsmanship with stateroom door decor these days. People are going way over the top for the likes, trying to do the biggest and boldest designs. This has already spilled into hallways, and now there's seemingly no new ground to cover here. I've seen it spill into the inside of staterooms, at least that's guests' private space. I don't know how these people have the room in their luggage for all of that, never mind the time it takes to decorate on what's a very pricey per minute vacation. So there you go. That's what's going on right there. But photo and video equipment size limits. Interesting. Old rule. I actually don't know if there was even an old rule that limited photography or videography equipment. But the new rule is this: to help keep shared spaces safe and comfortable for everyone on board, selfie sticks, handheld extension poles, and tripods may be brought on board and used in most areas, as long as they are folded down and no longer than 18 inches. Items exceeding this length must be stored in the guest stateroom and may only be used on land in ports of call. I'm always reminded that selfie sticks are still allowed aboard Disney Cruise Line, despite being banned in the parks for like the last decade whenever we set sail. They're still allowed even after this, but there's a limit on their size. Given that Disney Adventure just launched, I wouldn't be at least a bit surprised if these photography roles are being driven by that ship in particular. Bigger equipment and supports are common in the Asian markets and have been banned completely in several international parks. Anyone who has ever seen the crowd for a show featuring Duffy and Friends probably gets the, quote, why of this rule. Even applied to the rest of the fleet, it strikes me as reasonable. So there you go. A little bit of a limitation when it comes to a video and photography equipment, which is, I think, interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think that if they at least allow the magnets, because now I'm thinking about it, all aboard usually occurs. I don't think it ever occurs in the morning. I think it's usually the afternoon. All aboard is like around 4, just like a resort stay, right? Your check-in is usually at 4, and then disembark would be at like 7 a.m. So just imagine the room attendant having to get all that stuff down, getting it ready for the next party. I can understand why, it's gotta be toned down, unfortunately. It's a fun thing. I was really looking forward to participating in that. I do wanna let people know though there's a lot of customizable magnets that are not too expensive. And I'll probably, just for the sake of the show, I'll post it on my social media account to make it more accessible to people. But yeah, it's just something I recommend because I'm going to do it anyway for our family. But don't get discouraged, folks. You can still do the magnets. You just don't want to have the hanging banners. Now, Vash, you've seen at the resorts like the All-Stars, they usually the guests will decorate the window and they go all out and they actually win competitions from housekeeping. Like you'll get pixie dust if you have the best decorated window at an All-Stars resort. And
interesting.
You can do all the things, banners, magnets. They even put things on the door. Live people in the live chat, if you guys want to comment, if you ever stayed at the All-Star resorts, if you know what I'm talking about, they'll leave like little trinkets, little things you can pick up, like candy or I don't know. But I think it's just fascinating how the resorts are operating in this manner, right? That's also became a culture over there at WDW, and now for the cruise line to kind of take that little bit of magic away, kind of saying, you can't go all out. You can put the magnets, but nothing else. I don't know. I thought it was fun. I've seen so many POVs and little kids have fun too, taking things from the door and leaving something else in return. It's cute. I mean, it's harmless, but
it's cute, but if it damages the staterooms, well, that's no good for anybody, right? I mean, obviously you don't want your stateroom door to be all gunked up or whatever, or maybe perhaps these cruise liners have to be taken down for maintenance and so forth in order to rehab some of those doors. It's just, I can see it becoming just a little bit crazy. I know I've seen some pretty insane stuff, at least when I visited, the Disney Wish. That was back in like 2023 right there. So I can only imagine how much more intense it has gotten in recent years. It's just, we got to put limits on it, MJ. We got to put limits on it. And it looks like we're doing that. By the way, O2RR coming in here with the $4.99 right there. Fun news today is my 1-year anniversary of me going to Epic Universe. Celebration right there. Oh, sorry about that. You got it. Yep. You got it again. I'm going to leave it to you now.
Okay.
Go ahead and put it. There we go. Also, Disney stock dropped below 100. Maybe play Tom's famous song. We might actually. 100 below 100. It's when you look at O2RR, when you look at the stock, when you look at what Disney's actually doing, you got to ask yourself, are they necessarily doing anything that will get investors excited about the stock? To be honest, I haven't really seen it. Now, in terms of their social media presence with the parks and everything like that, it's been very interesting to watch them work. But still, though, investors, they don't really care about stuff like Monstropolis or, limitations to door decor on Disney Cruise Line. No, they care about really big returns on investment. And to be honest, I really haven't seen all that much. And when you look at, even from a parks perspective, Universal sweeping the floor when it came to the last 20 years of growth, getting four out of the 5 top spots there in that list. It really is something to be said about maybe the value Disney's offering its investors.
That's
Park
a
attraction
good
coming in
point
here.
that you made there. Mm-hmm. I see that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there you go. Okay. See, you got it. Rogue attraction coming in here with the 99.34. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty
low.
That's not good. That is not good. We'll have to see what actually happens a little bit later on, but I'm telling you what, Hugh Johnston and Josh D'Amaro, they were walking around that question about fuel prices, fuel shortages, inflation, so forth. And when you ran a business like the parks, right? People have to get to you. People have to get to your world-class destination in Walt Disney World. Even in Disneyland, that can be a little bit challenging, especially with LA traffic and so forth. So, what are they doing to combat this? Well, you're seeing a range of discounts, incentives, and so forth that they're bringing out both for the summer at Walt Disney World and for Magic Keys at Disneyland. Really getting interesting.
That's a great point that you just made, especially with the whole kickoff of the Cool Kids Summer. Shout out to Capture the Magic because they were sharing on Instagram today. I had no idea select resorts at Walt Disney World are giving kids, it's like a sling backpack. And it says 2026 Cool Kids Summer, like almost like a goodie bag, but you can wear it as a backpack. I thought that was extremely generous.
Nice.
When was the last time you saw Disney giving away anything like that for free at the resort?
That doesn't happen. that's
I was blown away.
That's a rarity right there. I know Jared, he's got the kiddos over there. That's pretty cool that he was able to take part in that. I know he's having a fun old time over there at Walt Disney World. I can't wait to pick his brain on what he felt about his experience and everything like that, because MJ, I mean, they've had to be a little bit more competitive this summer, especially with Epic Universe. Kind of eat the lunch last summer. Very interesting to see.
I hate picking on Jared so much, but I find it interesting that they went to Universal and then they're staying at a Disney World resort property. But that's actually really, really clever, given that you get a free water park perk on your day of check-in. Plus, if you have kiddos, you get all the other stuff that comes with it. So kudos to Capture the Magic.
Absolutely. Kudos to Capture the Magic indeed. Gotta get him back on the show when he's back in town. By the way, there's one more Disney Cruise Line thing that everybody should be aware of. That is alcohol limitations. Yes, old policy, Disney Cruise Line guests of legal drinking age may bring a maximum of 2 bottles of wine per person or 6 beers. The corkage fee is $29 per bottle. Interesting. Disney Cruise Line guests 21 years and older, or guests 18 and older on round-trip cruises from Singapore may bring a maximum of 1 bottle of unopened wine or sparkling wine, no larger than 750 milliliters, or 6 beers, no larger than 12 ounces a piece, I'm guessing, on board at the beginning of their voyage. These beverages must be packed in carry-on, not checked, bags or luggage. Guests who bring wine or sparkling wine on board and then wish to consume it in one of the dining rooms will be charged a corkage fee of $20 per bottle. Yikes. Alcohol packed in checked luggage will be removed and no compensation will be offered. Please be aware, guests who have beverage containers in checked luggage have experienced damage to their belongings. All alcohol brought on board must be in an original unopened container, partially used bottles, and those which the seal is broken are prohibited. All alcohol, including liquor, spirits, wine, and beer purchased in ports of call will be collected and stored until the end of their cruise. It's been about a decade since we last brought alcohol on board Disney Cruise Line, and I'm pretty sure the policy was even more lax at the time, so we don't have a strong opinion about this one. With that said, even as a non-drinker, I personally didn't view the previous policy of 2 bottles of wine as excessive on a cruise. This strikes me as overly restrictive, but at least on the plus side, the corkage fee is being reduced. Small victory? And Tom Bricker has an additional commentary here. Readers have pointed out that the previous policy was a rolling one, meaning that you could bring out aboard more alcohol from each port of call and consume it during your cruise. Given that, new policy is even more restricted than originally thought, and clearly aimed at Disney Cruise Line's increasing alcohol sales. MJ, I mean, when you look at alcohol consumption on the cruise line, it has expanded wildly. We have the Star Wars, what do they call that now? The Star Wars lounge, I guess. I can't even remember what it's actually called right now.
Different lounges on all the fleets, the different.
Yeah, you have the Tiana Lounge, right? And that's just on the Wish, by the way. And then on the Discovery and the Treasure, I think you have the Haunted Mansion Parlor and so forth.
Yeah,
you've got a lot of drinking spaces now.
Corilla,
and
she has one.
Corilla,
yeah,
and they've pushed it much harder. MJ, I think this is where this is coming from.
Well, I think Freedom Seeker's right. They're probably jumping on this train because the other ones are doing it. So Freedom Seeker coming in here with the new alcohol policy is in line with all the other major cruise lines because that's their bread and butter. They can push alcohol sales like no tomorrow. And let's just be quite frank. If you're on a Disney cruise line for a vacation, I mean, if you are a person that enjoys a casual drink, like a cocktail or whatnot, and you want to save your money for the Corilla DeVille Lounge and have a themed cocktail, that's just my opinion. I can't see myself bringing a bottle of wine or champagne on a Disney cruise line. I'll just pay, instead of the $20 cork fee that they'll charge you at your dining reservation or whatever, I'll just pay the money to have a nice themed beverage there. I mean, think about it. There's a really cool one themed to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Who doesn't want to have a drink in there if you are a drinker? They have mocktails too with no alcohol, I'm sure, but still, it's all about being immersed in the theming and having your food and beverage to that theming. It's pretty neat. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that right there. And look, I mean, if it's, you're in a hyperspace lounge, that's what I was thinking of. Maybe you like to have a cocktail or two. There's no question about that. But man, to bring on your own drinks and restricting that in some way, I gotta think that this is further pushing of those alcohol sales. We've seen that certainly from the parks, right? Where Grand Floridian, for example, we've got not one but two bars right next to each other, which is very, very odd. We now have theme parks like Magic Kingdom, for example, have an actual bar in its Disneyland, a dry park for 60 plus years, added Oga's Cantina in 2019. So we've just seen this progression, this progression of alcohol, this progression of alcohol consumption amongst guests and so forth. Even though nationally, it's actually alcohol consumption is going down, not up. It's very, very interesting that they would actually implement this policy in place. I've got to think it's for a monetary reason right there. Interesting too, MJ. You brought this up to me. Very interesting. Now, did a lot of research on this, MJ, and I could not find instances of this being rolled out amongst the entire fleet, but it has at least hit this ship, and that's the one you're actually seeing right there on screen. The Adventure. There you go, from Walt Disney World News Today. Disney Adventure will be first cruise liner to charge for room service. This Amanda Finn, May 28th, 2026. Room service on board the Disney Cruise Line ships has always been a free amenity. However, that seems to be changing in the near future for the Disney Adventure. Starting next week, this was May 28th is when this was published, the Disney Adventure is implementing a $5 service charge for room service orders. In addition to this, there will be an 18% auto gratuity added as well. That's not so great, MJ.
18% to eat in your room. I don't know. From what I see,
it's a good point.
It's not like the room service menu was ginormous. It's a select amount of things that you can have delivered, and you have to let them know ahead of time. There's a pamphlet you have to fill out, and if you don't turn it in by a certain time frame, you won't have room service. So what I'm thinking is, the Disney Cruise Line, so everything is all included, right? Your meals, your beverages, but to get to the food areas, it can be chaotic, especially when you have little ones. and you want to get breakfast in before you start your daily activities if you have short time. So I don't know why they would do this. For this one, sailing out of Singapore, I'm not really, I don't really think that help me out, Vash, that group of the type of guests are interested in eating in their rooms anyway. That's more of like more of a Western than an Eastern culture, kind of. I don't know if you catch my drift a little bit. Like,
Yeah, well, there certainly are some cultural differences. I would, well, I don't know. I actually don't know whether or not, culturally speaking, one favors one over the other. It is interesting though that, like you said, 18% gratuity on room service, in which you're basically serving yourself. I mean, yes, the food is being brought to you. There's no question about that. But other than that, that's it.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
And
like
isn't that covered by the $5 charge?
Fruit
Like
and
it's
some coffee. I mean,
right.
it's not a large selection, but I just hope they don't do this with the other ships. Okay,
Yeah, same.
let this stay over there in Singapore. Don't bring it over here. Just saying.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's like one of those things where there's so much of this going on, they felt needed to charge or something. Something culturally must have come out of this, to your point, MJ, to have mandated this from the Walt Disney Company. It's very interesting. Hopefully it doesn't actually get the full rollout, but you never know. Disney Cruise Line, they used to be all-inclusive, right? It used to be one set price. You paid advance and go, and now we have all these up charges. Well, not just for domestic cruise lines, but also international as well. Not good. Don't like it, MJ. I don't like it. And people not enthused about that in the chat. Was there any comments that you wanted to go ahead and bring up before going on to our next topic?
Actually, I did see one from the Rogue Attraction. Where was that? Let me see if I can pull that up. I think this is what we talked about already, but maybe you can read this one.
Is that because of tip culture in the region or lack thereof?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Could be.
Yeah.
That could be a possibility right there.
Now, the Disney Adventure, they're already known, according to the articles published and the POVs that have been dropped by all the media folks that got invited. The food there is like amazing. If you like Asian cuisine, I mean, the whole ship has tons and tons of different flavors of the Asian, everything from Indian food to Japanese food, Chinese food. I can go on and on, but like, I don't know if they're just trying to keep people away from purchasing the room service ordeal and just eating at the different dining venues they have. There's a lot of live entertainment with dinner on that ship, a lot, and they had to because they don't have any shore time. Everything is on the ship.
It could be. It's interesting. Now that you say that, it could be that maybe they're a little bit short-staffed, and maybe they, to have somebody actually bring food to every single stateroom, might not be a luxury that they can easily provide, and so that's why maybe they're charging for it in order to encourage people to actually go down there and eat in their various restaurants and so forth. It could be. I'm just saying it is a possibility right there. Very interesting. Freedom Seeker coming in here. I saw somewhere that the clientele also, that the clientele on the adventure take a lot more food than they can finish, and there's a lot of waste going on. That's interesting.
We don't want that. Yeah, we definitely don't want that. No.
Ooh, not good. Well, man, look, listen, this is a first for the Disney company. Obviously, there are going to be some cultural differences right there, and I'm sure some of those things will be ironed out just a little bit. But as they're doing that, we'll go ahead and keep you guys up to date. MJ, we got so many stories. We have to unfortunately move on from our our stepping off at sea. We got to go back on land and get over there to Walt Disney World, because boy, oh boy, Disney decided to go all out with the Disney Parks blog updates and their cadre of influencers giving us this news right here. Here you go. Disney shared new details about Monstropolis at Disney's Hollywood Studios. This is coming from Scott Gustin, revealing guests will visit the land to celebrate Human Day. That stands for Humans Understand Monsters Are Nice. Disney also officially confirmed guests will be able to dine at Harryhausen's Human Day.
Do we have a 2319? Or we don't have a 2319. What's happening here?
We do not have a 2319. Apparently, things have changed. The story behind Monstropolis, guests will visit during Human Day. That's, again, Humans Understand Monsters Are Nice. A celebration taking place after the city's transition from Scream Power to Laugh Power, and the Department of Human Relations deciding to welcome humans for the very first time. So we have this big, Monstropolis horn article, this kind of fake newspaper that they have to give us all the details on what this celebration is all about. I want to go ahead and read that for you. It's very interesting. There you go. Following months of planning, growling and grumbling, the Department of Human Relations has a win on their books. The historic decision has been made to move ahead with the, quote, Humans Understand Monsters Are Nice, or Human Day initiative. Plans are in progress to introduce human beings to the city of Monstropolis in all of its scaly, furried, and winged glory. For generations, monsters believe that even though humanity screams power to our city, a single touch from even the smallest human could be lethally toxic. A recent discovery by James P. Sullivan, CEO of Monsters, Inc., has disproven that long-standing belief. In fact, humans' laughter is 10 times more powerful than their screams. With Human Day, the Department of Human Relations sets an ambitious and still controversial goal to open the doors not to scare, but to show how we care for humans despite their lack of scales. A lot of people, by the way, not super enthralled by this new backstory that they're having for this land. There you go. I kind of love some of this commentary. I'm going to go ahead and put it on screen right now. Here you go. Cynical Disney here. Oh, good. Another party storyline. I was afraid we wouldn't get one of those here for a second. So there you go. Peter Soretta, by the way, of Ordinary Adventures. It's funny to me that Imagineering is now setting every new Disneyland attraction during a fictional holiday, like Summer Snow Day at World of Frozen, Zoo Gather Day at Zootopia Better Zoogather, and now Human Day at Monstropolis. It is a little bit too much, I think, MJ. Cody here, you're trying too hard. You don't need such an extensive backstory.
Yeah.
Rockin' Stardust or Coaster K24. Hey guys, it's another party. Let's go to the Human Day party. Save the magic. Great. Another party / celebration. How many times is Disney going to keep up with the same version of this storyline? And it goes on and on and on. By the way, Original Orange Bird, not excited for a storyline to be added for Villains Land in which they have a party for celebrating misunderstood villains. I do agree with that commentary. MJ, what do you think about a convoluted backstory to get people involved here?
I think it's very odd. I'm trying to put it all together. So he makes a really good point with Zootopia, Better Zoogather. Okay. The end of Monsters, Inc., and this is regards to the film 2001 film, not the prequel that came out later on, but
Right.
we were waiting desperately for a part 2 where Sully and Boo reunite. We didn't get that. At the end of that movie, though, it was, they reopened the corporate offices with, the laughter of children, and that was implemented, and the laugh floor, we have that in Tomorrowland. I'm just trying to think how they're going to do this. How is it going to swing? I don't know if we're going to get another Galaxy's Edge situation here. I'm just I'm scratching my head and I can't think of what's happening. Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to have you learn a new language. So, the rising suns and falling moons and all of that. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot what it was all about. But, bright suns. Yeah, rising moons. That was the one. And then you had like they're not going to do that, I don't think. But it is one of these things, though, MJ, like you were saying before. Like, it's just, to be so convoluted, you know, to put this much effort into all this stuff that basically no one is going to care about like a year after this place opens. It's just absolutely bizarre. By the way, we do have a video that Imagineering provided us, as you're seeing right there on screen. Let's go ahead and get some audio on that and show you what that's all about, because I think it's very fascinating to go over. Let's see here. Boom, boom, and boom.
Behind the construction wall of Monstropolis, where we're busy preparing for Human Day, the very first time that humans will be invited into Monstropolis by the Department of Human-Monster Relations in celebration of Human Day. Humans understanding that monsters are nice. We really don't separate ourselves. We've got storefronts and shops and schools and beautiful theaters, just like we have in the human world. And here we're creating the space where monsters live, work, and play, including Mike and Sully's walk to work from their famous brownstone all the way up to Monsters, Inc. and the beautiful rotunda as they check in. So we're bringing all the monster finishes and fit, the scales, the claws, the horns, all the expectations that you have in this wonderful world to create an environment that's truly immersive, that really can help you explore what it means to be a monster and understand that they're not that bad. Remember, we're in a post-scare world. We've already discovered that human laughter is much more powerful than screams. But the Department of Human-Monster Relations is making sure that we can work together to solve Monstropolis' energy needs, but also entertain the human world and make sure they understand that monsters are really your friends. So let's come have some fun in Monstropolis and experience our similarities, what we have in common, and also what makes it distinctive. And don't be afraid of all the scales and fangs and horns. They're just part of the architecture.
Okay, so to me, okay, if your architecture, if your land design requires so much backstory in order for it to make sense or to be cohesive or whatever, you kind of lost the plot, right? I mean, it should be instantly recognizable. This is just Monstropolis. This is, the land where the monsters do their thing in Monstropolis, get their work done, and so forth. It shouldn't be so convoluted. I know, Cars Land, for example, back in 2012 when it opened, it was race day, right? Because it went along with the attractions backstory. But that was a loose backstory, right? In the end, you're just going to Radiator Springs Racers, or you're just going to Radiator Springs itself, right? You're interacting with those amazing set pieces that you actually saw from the movie. You're seeing those characters, and look, does it make sense that humans are actually there? No, but guess what, MJ? Nobody cares. Nobody, is thinking too deeply about this. They just want to be immersed in these environments they saw on screen.
It's just like the video that they released when they were showing us the Easter eggs on the Muppets Rock and Roller Coaster ride that just got rethemed. I mean, it's doing too much, and I'm so sorry, but we have to do this.
And so what we've tried to do is really bring that shape language from the architecture. But what we love to talk about at WDI is shape language. And we often refer to shape language.
There's such iconic shape language in Spaceship Reverie Attraction. We really wanted to make sure that we fused to that throughout the space.
Yeah, that's probably very appropriate right here, right? Because, I mean, look, it's so convoluted. It's so, they're trying to be so deep in what they're actually doing right there. And like I said, nobody cares about this. They're not going to care about it to begin with, and they're certainly not going to care about it for the 10, 20, 40 years or whatever that a land like this is going to be part of our lives. It's just, I was just like, wow, okay, you're going to lay out this on us. Now, it's interesting. There are some more details provided by the Imagineers to these influencers, and that's where a lot of our information is actually coming out. So they are reusing a lot of the Muppets courtyard facades. Some buildings have been removed, but obviously they're reusing those facades. And in that way, they're adding these monster-inspired trim pieces, architectural details, and so forth. So I think Jason Y was talking about how he saw an overpass or something like that, and you had monster teeth coming down from that. You have two-headed pigeons and so forth. You have that sign, that crosswalk sign that says, doesn't say now walk, it says now stalk or something like that. So there's a lot of right, there's a lot of those details that are being imbued in the land, which
when you're watching Monsters Inc. and Mike and Sully are on their way to work, I've seen this movie 1,000 times, and you don't see the monster, but he's like a type of Bigfoot. So the street rumbles and you just hear the steps like doom, doom. And then, so if
Right.
I'm in Monstropolis and I'm purchasing a beverage,
Uh-huh.
there needs to be some kind of like special sound effect somewhere. And they need to have the stalk, the lights turning red or green, stalk, don't stalk, and I need to be able to hear big footsteps when I'm getting
Right.
a Coke or something,
That's a good point. We haven't
Yeah.
heard much about the audio or the sonic, atmospheric soundscape that you'll be in. But I would imagine that they would do something like that. Hopefully they do, because that's a great idea there, MJ. But
It's Monsters Land. You want to hear monsters and see them everywhere. We're not celebrating humans. We are the humans.
right. Now, it's really interesting because Scott Guston actually provided this really interesting tidbit about the relationship between Monsters Incorporated or this Monstropolis to Zootopia, which I thought was interesting. During a recent hard hat tour of the Monstropolis construction site, Imagineering said one of its goals is for the new land to capture the same sense of scale and energy found in Zootopia at Shanghai Disneyland, with the city itself serving as a key part of the experience. Now, another website, actually, Nerdist, said this: visitors will, quote, get to explore the city, meet its citizens, taste unique cuisine, and step into the everyday world of monsters in a totally different way. Disney executives told us during a media visit to the very active construction site that Monstropolis is meant to be interactive. They're making visitors part of the story by putting them inside a story, I guess. And that story will also tell new stories within the larger theme. Wow, could you get stories in there enough? They compared the experience to Shanghai Disney's Zootopia Land that opened in late 2023. They also said that they are trying their best to make this the counterpart to Zootopia. You can see what that land kind of looks like right here. Let's see if we can put that on screen. This is by SoCal. Oops, sorry about that, guys. SoCal 360. Yeah, I know. Sorry, it's a little bit loud. SoCal 360 or what is it? Attractions 360. They do some fantastic work. You can see right there, though, that kind of monorail line that actually goes through right there. That's a visual effect, obviously. I think DSNY and a couple of others were speculating that they might actually reproduce that effect in this Monstropolis land. And I guess the side of the Muppets Theater would be the venue where this might actually take place. So it's very, very interesting to see that, but you can see a lot of, stuff actually happening within these windows and so forth. Some critters, going around different places. I don't know if a lot of these effects will be imbued in these facades. I hope maybe that they are, because Zootopia actually looks pretty cool in its architectural set dressing and everything like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a comment here from Go and Shogi.
Please.
Very good comment, actually. The new lands are too specific. What made the originals like Frontierland and Adventureland great is they are timeless and open-ended to make it what you want. I think this is such a beautiful statement. 100%. You walk in there and your imagination just runs wild with respect to what the intentions of the area that you're in.
Right. I think Go and Shogi is exactly right. I mean, the problem with making a Monstropolis like this is that, well, if you ever want to expand, you basically have to go along with the theme that you've already set up. And I think something more open-ended, to me, could have provided for something like Muppets to stay, right? There was no reason why the Muppets had to be ripped out. They could have complemented this land very easily, in my opinion. But instead it's like, okay, we want these kind of really immersive environments, right? We're trying to do the Wizarding World of Harry Potter thing again, which Disney continuously fails at, which is very, very interesting. But we saw how much of a boon Wizarding World was for Universal, so they're trying to do that again here. And it's like, guys, it doesn't need to be that complicated. When you walk in to the Wizarding World, right, you don't need some backstory. You don't even need to know that franchise even. You walk in there and you are immersed in somewhere completely foreign, somewhere that is completely magical, and it's awesome, right?
100%.
And if you are a fan of the movie, it's like you stepped within that world. It just works. There's no setup that has to go along with that. Now, when it comes to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, yeah, it requires a lot of backstory just to know what the hell is going on right there, because, well, frankly, it doesn't have any connection to Star Wars as we quite know it, right? And
Right.
so when your design requires that backstory, when your design requires that setup, you might have failed.
Yeah, 100%. And John, make it rain. I do want to talk to the janitor slug lady as well. There's a lot of monsters I'd like to have a conversation with, but
Yeah,
I
is that
think
Rosa or Rose or whatever?
Roz is number one.
Roz.
Yeah, she's number one, and if they have the cardigan, I will be getting that. That's like on my to-do list.
Yeah. Roz is a funny character, right? That might be pretty cool.
Wasn't she
what is
played
his-
by Brad Bird, or am I crazy?
Oh, you know what? You might be right about that. Let me just
He
see
did-
real fast
He
right
did,
there.
Edna, and he's
Yes.
a talented man. I don't know.
Let me see. Roz, voice actor. Let's see. No,
Look at
Bob.
this, guys. We got-
Bob Peterson.
Oh,
was
Bob
the one.
Peterson. I had
Yeah,
Vash
but-
Googling live. Look at that.
Still funny, but oh, he's watching you. You know, that kind of thing.
I love
it's
it.
like super cool. Love
cool.
that. Absolutely fantastic. By the way, I mean, Roz used to be at the end of what is it? Mike and Sully to the Rescue, Monsters Inc., the ride at Disney California Adventure. At the end, that used to be kind of an interactive element in which you had a cast member like voicing that character, or at least having a panel in which there could be a set number of things that she could say. And so she would actually call out to different members in your vehicle right there, and you in the third row. I'm
well, that's
watching
cool.
you," that kind of thing, right?
I love that.
And she would call out articles of clothing. Really, really cool stuff. I don't know. Maybe we actually get something like that that's super interactive in this land. I'm really hoping so. It's a shame. Really is sad that we're losing the Muppets for all of this. And look, I mean, expectations are high, right? Muppets obviously was beloved. And so when you're starting out from that position of having to replace something, you're already in the negative. And you really have to do so much to supersede that and supersede those expectations to really elevate that experience.
You really
for
have
people
to
who-
fill Bigfoot's shoes on this one.
Right. Because look at Splash Mountain versus Sea on His By Adventure, right? It's like, people remember how beautiful Splash Mountain was versus, whatever is there now. So I wanted to go ahead and bring that to your attention right there. I think it's, it's
Got
something.
a compliment here, Vash. 21 Royal with
thank
cheese.
you.
Your
I do
voice on
appreciate
that
that.
character was absolutely right on. It really was.
Yeah, we're trying. I try to do that. I like the Monster Inc. franchise. I hate how we lost, the Muppets Courtyard and Muppet Vision 3D for it.
Yeah.
Do not like that at all. If we can get something though on the level of Zootopia, that's great. I just don't know, starting things out with the storyline, I don't know if they're heading in the right direction. We'll see how much of an emphasis they place on that, and more details to come for all these projects and more at D23 Ultimate Fan Event. That is, I believe, August of this year. So check back, folks. We will be covering all of that and much, much more. All right, we have a big news coming out of the UK, because man, oh man, we've been watching this. I've been watching this super closely. I'm like, okay, this is actually going to happen.
If it's
This is going to happen. This is going to be
groundbreaking,
big. This is going to be fantastic.
I think we have
Right.
this for groundbreaking. They
Indeed,
broke
we
the
do.
ground.
From Scott Houston, new Universal United Resort is the official name of the upcoming Universal theme park plan for the UK. Universal United Kingdom Resort. It's not the, doesn't maybe roll off the tongue, but you know what? It is there. And photos of the official groundbreaking ceremony took place earlier today after it was approved by the British government right there, which is a big win. I mean, MJ, they have been trying to get a resort set up in the UK since the 90s, okay? And they could never, ever do it. And fortunately, when Comcast actually bought out Universal Studios and NBC Universal and everything like that, taking ownership of that, there was hope that the UK would finally get a theme park. And now we might be on the cusp of getting it. Here you go. Here's the new logo right there. It's a standard United Kingdom resort logo. It's just a standard Universal logo, I should say. But hey, it's a logo. It means it's real. It means it's happening. There you go. Let's go ahead and listen in on this groundbreaking ceremony that took place recently in the UK, bringing this new theme park to life. Here we go. If I can just get the audio there, that'd be great.
Studios UK. I'm really excited to be here in Bedfordshire at the site of the new Universal Studios UK. It is such a huge investment, £6 billion, and the government is contributing £1.3 billion to improve road, rail and the infrastructure for the local community. It will bring 28,000 jobs to the local area, but we will know it will have a transformative impact for both our creative and tourism sectors across the UK.
Big stuff right there. That's a big deal. Getting a new theme park. It's not every day that the big two sets up in a new market. And to be honest, I think this is a lot more viable, and I will say a lot more beneficial to Universal than perhaps Disney Abu Dhabi is. But that's just me. MJ, your thoughts on the Universal UK finally becoming a reality?
I think it's fantastic. I just want to recall the different lands. They're definitely going to have a Harry Potter. I'm just trying to think what kind of Harry Potter land, and what were the other IPs, Vash?
There has been a lot of speculation on what will actually be featured here. They haven't confirmed any one IP. Obviously, I would think Harry Potter is going to be part of this. And they might actually be working that out with Warner Brothers, because Warner Brothers technically has a presence there already. That's, just slide some cash in some right places. I think you can overcome those issues. But
I think so too.
yeah, but some people have been theorizing James Bond. That might be a franchise actually featured there. Some people have also been speculating about who's the little bear character?
Paddington.
Paddington. Yep.
I love Paddington.
People have been saying that as well.
Great
people have been looking very closely at the concept art and saying, hey, is this Jaws? Is this Back to the Future or whatever? We haven't got confirmation on that just yet. I would think there would be a Minions type thing actually emanating from there.
That would make sense.
And it's interesting because I'm playing a video of Epic Universe. It really doesn't follow the Epic Universe layout, which is what you would kind of think that they would go for, given that there are so many opportunities for theme park design from a layout like that. But really, they're kind of honing in on a layout that I think was established, I want to say 20 years ago now, for other theme parks that Universal was thinking about actually doing. Very interesting, MJ.
We have TJ Magnifi. I would go there to see James Bond or a Lord of the Rings land. Who actually is that? Warner Brothers? Forgive my ignorance on the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, Lord of the Rings. So, kind of. I mean, it was New Line Cinema.
Okay.
And then I think Amazon got some of the rides, but just a very little blip of stories there. I believe Warner Brothers might have right of first refusal when it came to theme park concepts. If not that, then the family does, Tolkien family. It's a little complicated, but
I see.
When it comes to James Bond, that's something that they would have to work out with MGM. So that's kind of how that works.
You think it would be more of like an experience, kind of like what is the name of that attraction we have right now at Universal Studios Orlando Resort? The Bourne something. There's it used to be where the Terminator theater show was, and now it's called
the Bourne Spectacular.
Yeah. So do you think that the James Bond would have like an an experience like that, or?
Well, okay. So if you look at the concept art, people can actually see like a Waterworld type of amphitheater right there. It would either be on the level of Bourne Spectacular, or it would be on the level of Waterworld. So stunt show, I think is the thing that they're thinking if they actually bring in James Bond right there. That would be pretty cool. Try to make it rain. Embracer owns the theme park rights to Lord of the Rings. Ah, I see.
Look
It's good
at
information,
that.
actually, right there.
Extremely.
Try to make it rain. Thank you.
I'll highlight that
I
for those that want to
think-
write that down.
Right. I
Mhm.
think anything being brought to life in the Lord of the Rings series, right? That's a complicated rights issue that they'll have to work out. If somebody holds the theme park rights, I would imagine they can work out an agreement in which they can either share those rights or have it be, something like, okay, well, we have these rights for the UK. If you want to use those rights in other places, you can, that kind of thing. I would think that they would work something like that out. I will say, though, I mean, a lot of people, that's why I bring up Harry Potter right here. Harry Potter, I think, is the big one that a lot of people would be very interested in. Now, I will say, from what I'm hearing, Universal doesn't want to diminish that UK visitation to their parks domestically, right? Because there are quite a bit of people who take a holiday out to Florida to see the Wizarding World stuff
Beautiful
there.
holiday.
So whatever they bring to life might be unique to that location to provide that reason for people to still come to Florida to see, all the Wizarding World stuff that exists in Orlando.
I really wanted to highlight this storybook, Sorceress. Harry Potter will likely not happen because the Warner Brothers studio experience is not far from there. Very interesting. Would be nice, but it would be a hard one. So thank you for this comment. I didn't realize how difficult this would be.
I've heard this. Okay, so this is why I brought up the fact that Warner Brothers has a presence there currently, right? Obviously, they do have the walkthrough experiences and so forth. But remember, Warner Brothers works with Universal to bring that IP to life in the various theme parks that exist currently. Obviously, they're in speaking terms. Now, that's changing now with new ownership, potentially. But they still work agreements like this out. I would think this is something that Universal is actively pursuing and will be able to work out with Warner Brothers. And remember, these are distinct experiences. So maybe you don't necessarily see the items on offer at the Warner Brothers experience. This experience might be different. That's another way that they may be able to work this out. So, I wouldn't put the kibosh on anything quite yet. I think there's a lot of opportunities to be had for everybody in this space. Now, Universal has updated their sheet when it comes to the different stats related to this resort here. What is it? 50 billion British pounds sterling of direct and indirect economic benefit for the UK ultimately from this project. 20,000 jobs projected during the construction, with 5,000 plus on site at the peak of construction. 8,000 new jobs generated once the resort is operational. They're saying 2031. We'll see. Universal's pretty good at hitting those dates, though. 100 people in the UK have been employed already to work on this project. 80% of employees come from the Bedfordshire and surrounding areas, so local right there. Huge amount of tourism from all over the world is going to want to see this because they're kind of trying to make this a resort destination. It might not open up like that. It might be more, in the vein of Hollywood in that regard. But I know they want a big presence here. It's going to be a big build out. It's not going to be, you look at Universal Kids, that's a distinct market that they're trying to attract, right? That is a distinct product. This is not going to be like that. It's going to be a big boy theme park concept and so forth. And yes, like I said before, 2031. So very, very cool. I guess they have, 92% of people expressing support out of a 6,000 person survey. So there you go.
This IP is going to live on for generations. Harry Potter is near and dear to many, and I feel like just like I have to say it, the boomers pass on the Disney, trips with their millennials, and then the Gen X and all the Gen Zs. So I feel as if, because Harry Potter is such a magnificently done franchise, Universal was able to get the rights, and people are going to be visiting all of these lands throughout the whole world for generations to come. It's not going to be anything like, for example, we're worried about Monstropolis. In 20 years from now, will there be a desire to visit Monstropolis? But Harry Potter, 20, 30, 40 years from now, people are still going to be in love. And people, I showed it to my kids. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are showing it to theirs, and so forth and so on. Our good friend Tom, beautiful experience he had with his granddaughter. She got picked for the wand experience at Universal. That's
Ollivanders.
huge. Yes,
Yeah.
Ollivanders. That's an experience out of this world like no other. And
Absolutely.
passing that on to another generation is what I'm saying. It's never going to die down, I don't think.
I don't think it's ever going to die down, and I think I would expect an Ollivanders type experience to be part of any inclusion of the Wizarding World, no matter where you are in the world, because it is so impactful. And if I'm not mistaken, anybody who's actually selected for that experience buys their wand, like, I think 90% of the time. So, you at least get a sale there. But it's really interesting because I'm kind of going over the Harry Potter films. I've never seen all of them. Kind of going through them one by one. It's really interesting how well they actually hold up. Not everything does, but most of it does. And obviously, there's going to be resurgence of interest for, generated by this new HBO series that will be it's actively in production right now. It'll be coming out very, very shortly. So I think you're right. As far as a brand that it will endure, Wizarding World is going to endure a lot better than maybe even Cars, maybe even Monsters Inc. A lot of those Pixar franchises. It's just Harry Potter's going to be with us, so I would assume that's going to be part of the Universal UK or Universal. Sorry, the Universal United Kingdom Resort. I would assume that's going to be with us, but we will see. Very, very cool, though. I want to go ahead and bring it to your attention because that's a big, big deal. Again, Universal has been trying to get a theme park resort built in Europe for the longest time. Never could. There was some ecological factors that were actually taking effect right there. Environmentalist, activity there that was, stymieing it. But now to finally see them break ground and get this going, and like Rudy said earlier, when they set a timeline out there, believe them, because it is certainly they're trustworthy when it comes to their timelines. Anywho's, what isn't trustworthy though, or the fans have lost trust, I should say, in Disney's ability to actually produce good Star Wars content. And we're going to be talking about Star Wars just a little bit. I'm not going to dwell on it. I know it's not the hottest topic there, but we got to talk about this. Look. MJ, we've had discussions when it comes to Star Wars. Yeah. Mandalorian Grogu, right? Big new film, first film to come out from Lucasfilm related to Star Wars in 7 years. Mandalorian Grogu comes out. At the end of this box office run right here, Luis Fernando has it pegged anywhere between $335 to $365. Look, this is a $165 million production. Now, according to Valiant Renegade, he's saying that might not even include above-the-line talent. And look, guys, Hollywood Reporter saying this film needs to have $500 to $600 million of box office accrued in order for this thing to break even, right? This is not fantastic for a film to come out so low. And here's the thing, guys. Well, I say so low. Interestingly enough, this is following the trajectory of Solo, which we all know was a box office bomb. Obviously much more expensive than Mandalorian Grogu, but still, to not even crack 400 million is crazy. And it was beat out by not only one, but two films, that being Obsession and, what is it, Break Rooms?
I think we got footage of Pedro after he saw the results of his film.
No, don't do that!
Yeah, exactly. Backrooms, that's what it was. It is crazy to see. Hopefully you like that clip, guys. It is crazy to see this juggernaut of a franchise get beaten out by some films that are, both these films are done by YouTubers, but Obsession, think what, $750,000 production budget? It's crazy.
In someone's home, just to mention.
yeah, exactly. To see this film getting bodied by that. And by the way, this is even worse, the drop-off here.
Yeah.
That's like 70% from week to week. It's a worse drop off than Final Reckoning experienced. I mean, it is crazy just how bad this is actually performing right there. And by the way, folks, I mean, this follows a long list of this actually happening. I didn't mention this before. I wanted to go ahead and mention this now, though. This is from a Blue Loop article right there. Eight of the biggest theme park flops in the U.S. A lot of these, they talk about theme parks from all over the world, amusement parks all over the world. And it's really, really interesting to see a little bit of MGM's failed Vegas park right there. You've got stuff coming out of, Pleasant Grove, Utah. Okay, let's get number one here, though. We scroll all the way down to number one. What do you think it is, MJ, that made this list?
Oh, gosh. I'm not sure. I'm scared.
Oh, you're
I feel
going to
like
find
the-
out.
I feel like
Here you
the-
go. The
Second.
Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, Orlando, Florida, USA. The closure of the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser after just 18 short months, March 2022 through September 2023, remains one of the most significant and expensive failures in Disney's modern history. While the experience itself received high marks for most participants, the business model collapsed under the weight of its own ambition. There were several major factors that led to the sci-fi false cruise experience not succeeding as Disney had hoped, but perhaps the most obvious was the staggering cost. A standard 2-night voyage for a family of 4 typically started around $6,000. This cutting flaw was one that even most Disney's most loyal fans were unable to overlook. I apologize, guys. Once the diehard wealthy fans and influencers had visited the Galactic Starship over the first year, attendance died down, and the attraction no longer had a sustainable queue of customers, repeat or new, able to justify the expense. The numbers required to keep the Starship running compared to the actual guest capacity didn't work out in the end. The Starship was designed to operate more like a giant immersive theater production rather than a hotel that it was. As a result, it required a massive cast of actors, as well as basic, quote, crew members to maintain the living story atmosphere running 24/7. Meanwhile, the Starship had only about 100 actual guest cabins, while real-world cruise ships today often have anywhere between 1,000 to 3,000 cabins, which limited how much revenue could be generated per voyage, while still requiring a very high fixed cost to operate as designed. I know with research and development costs, this thing was north of perhaps $1 billion right there. Cost to build this thing, you're probably looking at, like the article says, $250 to $300 million. This was a big loss. MJ, you're talking about one of the most visited places in the world, in Walt Disney World. You build anything when it comes to a resort, DVC, whatever, usually it prints money. They have 45,000 rooms for a reason. And the fact that this failed so spectacularly, the first ever resort to fail on Disney property, you combine this with Mandalorian Grogu, you combine this with the lower interests from stuff like the Mandalorian Grogu update for Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, or even the waning interest in even new characters being applied to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. MJ, this franchise is in a big hole. And the problem is for us fans of not only this franchise, but of the parks, the only way they can really overcome these issues related to this movie right here, where they're looking at maybe $200 million in the red, perhaps even more than that, the only way you overcome this is with merchandise. I think that's one avenue, even though those merchandise revenue streams have been waning for years now from the Star Wars brand. It's going to be the parks themselves that will have to overcome this loss. I mean, we think about, okay, why don't we have a Fantasmic Dragon, right? It's $10 million. Obviously, it's a decent chunk of change, but you make so much revenue per night from those dinner reservations that you sell, those dinner packages that you sell for that production, at least at Disneyland. Right. Why don't we have one? Why is the Hyperion Theater in Disney Hollywood Adventure, why it's been closed basically since COVID? Had a little run there with Rogers the Musical, but still, Hyperion down. Why are these things happening? Unfortunately, MJ, you look at something like this and you go, well, that's why.
Yeah, the leadership. I'm just curious, the Star Cruiser, even if it were to be affordable, and when I say affordable, I mean in the weirdest way, because it was the most expensive resort on property for those 18 months. Question, you as a Star Wars fan, even if this was doable, would you even be inclined to stay there?
Yeah, I asked myself that a few times actually while the Star Cruiser was up and running. I just couldn't simply justify that expense, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, for $6,000 for 2 nights or whatever for 2 people, it just was crazy. It just was
Yeah.
absolutely insane, and the accommodations that you actually
There's the
were
problem right
staying
there.
in.
The Force is female.
You see,
the
and
problem,
that's
the
the thing.
leadership.
Right?
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the issue. I'll get into that in just a moment, but
Yeah.
when when you're paying that much money for an experience like this, it's got to be interstellar, right? It's got to be just beyond what can be experienced elsewhere. And unfortunately, for that amount of money, the staterooms, I mean, they were staterooms at a value hotels, honestly, in terms of
Yeah.
the level of accommodation right there. The role playing, fantastic for people who actually wanted to do that. And this is interesting too. Disney did not price this in the traditional format. Usually it's like, okay, what will people pay for this experience? Instead, they looked at it and said, okay, what do we have to charge in order to make this concept viable? And that was doomed from the start, because nobody was going to pay $6,000 for 2 nights. It just wasn't going to happen. Not on a long-term basis. You might get people in there, this very small minority, that might actually embark on a cruise like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, when you look at the market demographics, right? If you're looking for a luxury price point, the luxury guest doesn't want an experience like this. And the people who do can't afford it. So who's this for? That was the problem for the Star Cruiser. And these problems were made worse by the diminishing enthusiasm for the Star Wars brand as a whole, and the fact that they locked it into a timeline that was so rigid and so narrow, a timeline that many people were, losing interested day by day as it passed. This thing was bound to fail. And that's why I said the prediction I made when this thing opened was, okay, in a year's time, they're going to have to rethink this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in 18 months' time, they closed it. So, and when that year anniversary came up, that was when they announced things. So,
No, it's just like you told me the other day. I mean, I think you told me that this franchise was purchased by Disney 2012, and then the demand, I forget which leader in the group actually said every year we need to have a movie.
that's
So
why
rushing and pushing out the product without taking the time, getting the right writers. I mean, they totally destroyed this franchise. Which is why the Star Cruiser failed. And even if it was, let's say if it's 500 a person per night, something like that, I don't even think people would want to do it, because even the characters that they had on this cruise they're not characters from the films. You cannot relate to them. You don't connect with them, and it's unfortunate what they have done. And as far as merchandise, the Real Fake Wizard the other day was just showing all the Mando and Grogu. It's on clearance at Walmart. So if you want it that bad,
yeah,
pretty
I
cheap.
saw like 30% price tags on some
Yeah.
Mandalorian Grogu stuff, which was like, holy smokes, this movie just came out. These toy lines were there to support this franchise, and yet they're having problems like this. I mean, it really was profound to see.
I have a question for you though.
Please.
Salvatating Steve, or salivating, Steve, forgive me.
Mhm.
They gutted entertainment in Galaxy's Edge because of the stupid Star Cruiser. Did they get rid of Star Wars weekends because of that thing?
They got rid of Star Wars weekends when it was about the time when they purchased the franchise.
Oh,
And I mean, look, I think it was following this design conceit from Kathleen Kennedy, which was our best days for Star Wars are ahead of us, not behind us.
Oh.
So why have something like Star Wars weekends when we could have all of the Star Wars content that we can possibly imagine in this one set place and have its own story and be the place where you interacted with Star Wars on a daily basis rather than a seasonal. It was a disastrous decision.
oh my God.
There's just no getting around it.
No.
I mean, look, it should have appealed to the broadest set of Star Wars fans, and honestly, a lot of that's with the OG. Some of that's with the prequels, and some of that's with the sequels. But really, the OG are the ones that purchase the most Star Wars merchandise. And it really should have been set right there. There should have been more iconography that was memorable, and this kind of next gen mindset of having a really interactive place, with creatures and robots, and this kind of, they had this test MJ at Frontierland in the lead up to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge's opening. It was called Legends of Frontierland, and it was really this cool interactive game that they had with the guests, where you kind of, did things throughout Frontierland that got either sides more territory. It's really, really cool. I actually have some of those I guess like little tokens of gold or whatever that they used to give out for this whole test. Very, very cool concept. And that was all a play test to see whether or not it was viable for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And they dropped all of those things. The stunt shows that they had, like I said, the walking creatures, the droids, the robots, everything was just, it didn't materialize at all. And so I think on this program, on Vash Sky ParkCast, actually, I'm working on a video right now to go over all of these things, not just the way Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opened, but everything that they had promised before.
Nice.
And going over all of those broken promises that we just never got to see. Really, really sad, and it's, to see Star Wars in this state is quite sad. A lot of people bring up the fact that, Kathleen Kennedy shifted the market base for Star Wars, or at least attempted to. That's part of the problem, right? So I want to go ahead and highlight this. I thought this was a great meme posted by somebody you might recognize and be aware of. There you go. Blue is an awesome game. I wish they made a movie out of it. In this case, Blue is an awesome franchise. I really hope they put out some amazing franchise content. And you can see that coming soon. Blue, the movie. It looks awesome. Big screen, pictures present. Blue. And you can see that, the person there who was a fan of Blue, the movie, didn't actually get Blue on screen. And so...
Man, you really broke it down for us, Vash. Holy cow.
Well, I like this because it's like...
It's perfect.
It takes away, it takes away a lot of the baggage when it comes to these discussions. Mm-hmm. In the end, the fans wanted to see Blue, and they were shown red. Doesn't mean that you're an ist against red or red phobist or whatever. It just means that people wanted Blue. Yeah. They didn't get that. They got red. And that's where I think a lot of the audience fell off because of that. And now we're in a situation in which you have a Star Wars movie being bodied by not one, but two basically independent films. One of those made for $750,000. Why did this happen? That means why. So, wanted to go ahead and bring that out. And also, too, at the parks, if you're hoping for a new show at the Hyperion, or if you're hoping to maybe get mashed potatoes back instead of rice, expect more rice with your dishes. Is kind of what that means there. Oh, it's terrible. MJ, it's terrible.
I'm just
But we
thinking
gotta move
about
on
how
right
I would
there.
feel if I walked into Hogsmeade and I saw characters from the HBO series. I think I would lose it. So I can imagine how you guys feel.
Ah, it's
Yeah.
not good.
No.
At least you had J.K. Rowling there, for Harry Potter to say, hey, look, listen, if we're going to do a Harry Potter land, I'm gonna, you're gonna do it the way I want. And honestly, that's why Disney lost it.
Yeah.
Originally, Disney, had the ability to develop concepts for the Wizarding World, and I think Tony Baxter was actually part of that initiative right there. J.K. Rowling looks at it and goes, no, it's just not good enough. It's just not my vision come to life. And so she walked. And apparently part of that was because the widowed Dr. Seuss actually said, hey, the Universal guys treated me well. We developed this land, this Seuss landing there at Islands of Adventure. Maybe you should bring your Wizarding World concept to them. And, well, that's why Universal Parks have been growing steadily for the last 20 years.
Absolutely.
That's why they take up 4 of the top 5 in terms of fastest growing theme parks in 20 years. So,
yeah,
there you go. Brittany Way, sorry, late. Love watching the video. Well, that is absolutely fantastic right there. But please, you don't want to spam the chat there. Keep it down to a minimum right there. We love to see you there. We love to see the enthusiasm. Please.
The sheriff from Robin Hood. Let's try to tone it down.
Just a little bit right there, Going Shogi. Keeping it nice and friendly for all of us.
We want to thank all the mods out there monitoring the live chat. Thank you so much.
So good. By the way, guys, is Marvin streaming tonight? I'm not sure. I just tried looking it up right now. Couldn't actually find his stream. Anybody who is aware, please let me know. I don't want to stream over him.
Live coming up out of the theater reaction for the I believe
Masters of the Universe?
Yes, absolutely. So that's coming on.
Okay.
I don't know what time later, but he's definitely giving a live out of the theater reaction. So looking forward to getting everybody over there later on.
Well, chat, I am happy to go a little bit longer. We just don't want to stream over our friends. Please, in the, I think maybe you can include Pro into this as well. Yes, he is. Usual 8 p.m. Eastern, and then extra stream at 10:15 p.m. Eastern. Okay. What you are, just keep me informed right here. I can't find his stream right now. Please, if that link is up, let me know, and we'll go ahead and redirect to him because I haven't been able to do that. I'm going to go ahead and proceed on to the next story, though. If you do find the link for that, just let me know in the chat right there, and we'll get going on over to Marvin Montanaro and his amazing production right there. We've got at least 5 stories if we want to go ahead and pursue them. I want to definitely pursue this one, though. This one took a lot of people by surprise, including an ex-Imagineer. Interesting. Behind the scene look at iconic Disney ride unveiled as it malfunctions, lights turned on. This by the New York Post right here. It might not look like the New York Post, and that's for a reason. Guys, you gotta stop it with the spam on your website right there. It is getting real bad. Okay, that's my rant there. It's known as the happiest place on Earth, but for a group of Disneyland guests, a breakdown at the Haunted Mansion turned into a behind-the-scenes look after a ride malfunction forced the lights on and left passengers to navigate their exit alone. The unusual incident, which took place close to the park's 11 p.m. closing time on May 27th, was detailed in a viral Reddit post that left Disney fans surprised by the breakdown in standard operating culture. By the way, Go and Shogi, thank you for sharing this with us. The Doom Buggies ground to a halt inside the ride, smack dab in the middle of the cemetery. Initially, cast members gave standard instructions over the loudspeaker advising stranded riders to remain seated and wait to be escorted off the ride. However, after about 10 minutes, the message changed, stating that the cast members could no longer assist us and to go ahead and squeeze out of our buggies and find the nearest exit. A frazzled rider wrote online describing the experience as, quote, absolutely wild. Let's go ahead and listen to this. Guys, when I saw this, I was like, whoa. This is not something you usually see. And I was hesitant to even share it initially because I was questioning its authenticity, because this is something you don't see. I was questioning whether or not we heard maybe a voiceover or something actually put in post or something like that. No, this is authenticated. This is real. Here you go, folks. Unattended evacuation in the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland.
Once again, for all of my guests inside the Haunted Mansion, we can no longer assist you at this time. We ask that you hop out of your buggy and find the nearest exit. If you can, there is a latch on the left-hand side that you can press down to open the clamshell.
This is absolutely wild. Open the clamshell? I mean, what? Guys, what? I mean, you're expecting guests to navigate this whole thing? I mean, you know, for a lot of people, this might be their first ride on here, and yet it's like, okay, well, you gotta go to the front and, like, unlock the clamshell. Maybe you have to, like, sneak out of there in order to do that. You have working machinery all around you right there. Somebody could get injured. Somebody could twist an ankle. MJ, this is absolutely nuts. I couldn't believe this was actually going on.
No, the first thing that comes to my mind, you guys already know, the ADA issue. What if you had some guests? I would say about, I would put it like 3 or 4 dune buggies with someone that depends on their caregiver or companion that can help them get in and out of these dune buggies safely. If you're a person that uses a wheelchair, how are you supposed to make your way out of here? All those things run through my head, and it's unfortunate to see this. You know, this is a dearly loved ride by many. And like you said, what if it's your first time, you know, visiting Disneyland and you decide to go on the famous Haunted Mansion, and it's like, what kind of procedures are these? And now, is the cast member on the in the loudspeaker, maybe they were working at the the Little Mermaid ride earlier? Do you guys even have a Little
the
Mermaid
clamshell, yeah. Stay seated in your doom buggies, please.
Yeah.
Is typically what you were supposed to hear right there, but no, it's gotta refer to it as a clamshell right there. So a little bit bad at the linguistics right there, but this is very, very interesting. So Jim Shaw, ex-Imagineer extraordinaire, actually had some commentary on this, and I agree with him wholeheartedly on this. Here you go from Jim Shaw. I've experienced ride breakdowns, but never was I told, quote, "you're on your own." Disney lawyers need to give cast members a good talking to. This experience is risky and unsafe, and that results in complaints and claims. Indeed, there's no question about that. Orange County Register, Brady McDonald actually having a little bit of commentary for us here. I have never seen such chaos and recklessness on Disney's end, wrote one Redditor. What if someone falls or can't get out? What if someone gets lost? What if there were kids riding alone who were too scared to get off alone? Disney's standard evacuation procedure typically involves employees walking along the tracks to unlock the ride vehicles one by one and escorts riders out of the attraction. According to a former cast member on Reddit. Absolutely, that's the case right there. You never see something where you have people left unattended to get out by themselves, and they have to find exits and so forth, and how they navigate those exits. Because, you know, a lot of these exit hallways and corridors, MJ, they're, you know, they branch out. There's not, you know, one direction to go in a lot of these cases, so you have to navigate those in the back end. This is just absolutely insane. I would only presume that the nature of the evacuation itself mandated that cast members themselves had to remove themselves from the building. But again, though, it's like, you know, I can't. I mean, Haunted Mansion's still standing. It's still open. So obviously the evacuation wasn't that crazy. The fact that you have people just rummaging around there in the, you know,
You could
the
twist an
graveyard.
ankle. You could get, like Jim Scholl said, claims. So you could get severely injured. There's so many mechanisms involved. And that grass, who's to say that you would be able to even walk on that. There's gotta be like
because a lot of
certain planks maybe for the engineers and maintenance crew. I don't think anyone can this is not a platform for anyone to walk on top of, in my opinion.
Right, it's not really load bearing, right? A lot of these places aren't. So it's kind of like if you go up in your attic, right, and you have like the drywall ceilings and so forth.
Exactly.
You want to watch where you step because it's not meant to carry your weight. It's absolutely a great point right there. Also, too, I mean, the Haunted Mansion. I believe I was going over this with Marvin yesterday. In the corridor of doors, there's like an emergency exit there that you can actually get out. But you have to be very knowledgeable in this attraction to actually know that it even exists. So that's one thing. And then two, there have been instances where people have, like gotten out of their doom buggy and hopped over to get at Madame Leota or whatever. And, that area is graded now, but before, back in the day, it was not. It was just wide open, and somebody actually broke their leg trying to top over and thinking there was floor there where there wasn't. So there's a lot of danger in doing stuff like this. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing I'll say about this before, I guess, M4 Empire is going on as scheduled, so we'll get you over there very, very quickly, momentarily. But please remain seated with all hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the red vehicle at all times. No. We'll get you over there soon. But the Pirates of the Caribbean was one certain attraction in which somebody actually hopped out of their boat and snatched the keys from the dog in that famous jail scene right there and actually made their way out via the exits there to New Orleans Square and, well, got away in the parks right there. So, people, when they're looking at props and so forth, stuff that can be removed, you just never know what's going to happen. And that's why a cast member is usually always there to attend you. Folks, I will say, unless a cast member gets on the loudspeaker and tells you to get out, please, folks.
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
Indeed.
Beautiful.
Crazy stuff right here. But we've got to get out of here. MJ, please, I want you to have to find folks where they can actually find you. And, I know you're very close on your Instagram goal right there. Please go ahead.
Oh, I'm getting really, really close to 100. Little old me, I'm chugging along like Casey Jr. So I do appreciate so much, you guys. Thank you for everything, Vash. It's been a pleasure to be on the show here with you, producing for you. And to everyone out in the audience, thank you for being a part of Vash Sky ParkCast. And we have a lot to cover. I think you have a show Saturday, and next week we should be premiering the McVash meal, so stay tuned for that. Very interesting and fun. But yeah, you'll follow me on X and Instagram. I have a lot of stuff that is coming out, lots of news. The news, it just keeps going every day. We don't take any breaks here, folks.
Oh, the news does keep going every single day. We try to keep you up to date on everything that is to come out of these theme parks. And guys, there are stories that I wasn't even able to bring to you. Hopefully, they'll be just as relevant next week. We'll see. But I'm sure there will be some late breaking news or something that'll happen the next couple of days. Definitely stay subscribed here to Vash Sky ParkCast. We'll keep you up to date on all of those things. Wednesday, by the way, 2 p.m. Eastern is going to be our regular time after that Park Place. And, of course, Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern right there. Also, too, 3 p.m. Eastern, for a lot of you people watching in the chat right there, there's a lot of new members out there. We have a members only live stream that occurs every single Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. That's Vash and Vixen. And this week, we're going to be talking about probably some more Tomorrowland coverage. Indeed, maybe Disney's Race to Space when it comes to their space-themed attractions, or Carousel Progress. I'm trying to decide on the two right there. I'll have to Vixen about it and see what she's up for doing right there. But you can go ahead and join us if you remember a Sky Watcher Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay, let's get out of here to Marvin Montanaro and his amazing M4 Empire. Thanks, guys, for joining us here. Remember, folks, the sky is the limit.